Hi, this video is for Elyse Myers. If you're not Elyse Myers, you can keep on scrolling, or if you're a debut author and you have questions about whether or not authors should be commenting on their bad reviews, stick around. Maybe you can learn something. Hi, Elyse. My name is Don Martin. I am an author of 5 books. My most recent is Where Did Everybody Go? A nonfiction book about the loneliness epidemic, and the book before that is Verity Vox and the Curse of Foxfire. It's a young adult fantasy novel, and it made me a New York Times bestselling author. I became a New York Times bestselling author this year, just like you just became a New York Times bestselling author of your nonfiction book. And that is so cool. Welcome to the Author Club. You're a debut author. Congratulations. Welcome. This is a piece of advice. You need to stop talking to readers when they're reviewing your work on social media. Like, full stop. Especially people that are reviewing your work negatively. That is an immediate no-no space. So there are some things that authors don't do. We do not engage in reader spaces. What is a reader space? Well, the first and most obvious are sites like Goodreads, Storygraph, the Amazon comment section, like any place where the work itself is being reviewed, critiqued, criticized, picked apart, anything like that. So if you come across, you go to Goodreads or Storygraph or any of those like book sites where somebody is definitely going to be talking about your book, you should probably just block those on your web browser for the time being until you get used to this whole being an author thing, because it's very different than being a social media person, which I know a little bit about as well, maybe not as much as you, but I do know a little bit about what it's like to have a fairly sizable platform and have people talk about you and you know, feeling whether or not there's a permission structure there to engage. But reader spaces, protected reader spaces are no-no spaces, but then there's shared spaces where there's kind of a gray area, and that's social media, right? So Threads, where you got into some hot water today, Instagram, TikTok, you know, all the other social media sites where we're all here, right? I have to talk. I have to promote my books. This is part of my job now, right? And so I have to be here. Occasionally that means I'm going to come across people talking about me. Is there a permission structure for me to engage there? Well, what's happening is a big component of whether or not you can engage. Did somebody tag you? If somebody tags you, there's probably a permission structure there to engage. That's an invitation to invite the author in, right? So, which is why authors constantly tell readers, do not tag us in reviews. Don't tag us in any review of any kind. If you're gonna tag us and it's a positive review, I guess that's fine. But like, to be perfectly honest, most authors, most of the time, we don't want to be tagged in reviews because that's inviting us into a reader space and we should not be there. Why can't we be there? Because when people feel like they're being watched by authors, by the author's readers, by publishers, like they're not as honest, they're not as open with their reviews, with their critiques. It's no longer happening in good faith. It's now happening with the feeling of being watched, right? So social media has some rules with authors and reviewers. If somebody tags you, there's a permission structure there to engage. If somebody is making ad hominem attacks about you as a person and it's not about the work, there's a permission structure there to engage. If somebody is talking about like your family, your loved ones, some offline piece of gossip that they heard and they're bringing to social media, and it's not about the work itself, there's a permission structure there to engage. Though as somebody with a very large social media following, you're probably pretty used to people talking about you and your family and your life because that's what you put online, right? Because you operate with a level of transparency and authenticity, which has garnered you this very, very large social media following. And that's kind of the other thing, is there is this power imbalance when it comes to reader and author, right? Authors typically have like a lot of beloved fans. We have readers, right? You have readers and followers. A lot of them. And anytime you go to Threads and you talk to somebody with like 6 followers who posts a photo of your book and says, I didn't really like this book. I thought I was going to like it. I really wanted to like it, but I didn't like it. And you respond at all, even if it's nice, your followers come with that, right? And then you start doing what you're doing. You start feeling like compelled, you start spiraling out and start replying to everybody like, oh, I'm sorry you didn't like my book. And return the book if you don't want the book. All of that can be avoided by simply ignoring the review. Mute the review. Mute your own title if you have to. But we don't engage in reader spaces at all. There are a few bits of permission structure where you can engage if the comment is about you specifically, but if somebody is talking about your book, you need to know that a bad review can sell a book just as much as a good review, sometimes more so. I have bad reviews. Not everybody likes my books, right? Not everybody likes my books. People don't like books for all sorts of reasons. I had somebody say, this is just Kiki's Delivery Service, but gay, 1 star. I immediately asked my agent if I could put that on the book cover. She said no. I don't know why. I really wanted to put that on the book cover. And in fact, I still kind of want to put it on like a t-shirt. 1 star. This is just Kiki's delivery service, but gay. You have any idea how many people would buy a book that's just Kiki's delivery service, but gay? But we can't do that. That's not for us. We can't do that. Anyways, stop engaging with review spaces. I know that you're used to things being different, and you're probably wanting to say something like, but why should it be that way? I've always been very open and transparent and engaged with my audience. I get that, but you're an author now and the rules are different. And the problem is, if you get a reputation as an author that will not leave reviewers alone, people will stop buying your books. And that's not good, right? That's something we want to avoid. We want to let readers have their own experience without interfering. Anyways, this has been a very long video, but I hope you found it helpful. You can DM me if you want. I don't know why you would, but you need some author friends, because there's going to be a lot about this life. There's no manual handed to authors to tell us how to be, us. We just get a publishing deal, and then we go out on social media and have to promote our work, and nobody tells us what the pitfalls are. People would probably assume that you would know the pitfalls because you know how to be on social media, but apparently you don't. So anyways, you need some author friends, not influencers who wrote a book for a vanity press or wrote a book for like a quick deal or something. Let's like slap their name on a cover. Like, you need like author friends, like people who've been in this a while. And you need to keep some of those things that you've been saying on Threads in that group chat with your author friends. Anyways, hope this helps. Good luck with future publishing endeavors. I would log off Threads immediately if I were you. Hope this helps. Thank you.